Hello, lovely people. I'm Shaq, and welcome. You may be wondering why I'm wearing a coat. Well, we're going to go outside as soon as I show you a few things. I don't know if you saw the posts about me working on clay bells. I've got one that rings and 3 that rattle. So there's no problem with the ball inside is able to move. But I had these openings, this little slit here was touching on all 3 of these balls. So I thought that might be the reason why they weren't ringing. So Arthur took the grinder to them, and he did a really nice, neat job creating slits in all 3 of them. And the tone on them did go into a more ring space. So the rattle is a higher pitch, but it isn't ringing like a bell. And I looked at them more closely, and I mean, it's really obvious on this one. I added a bit of clay to the seam to make blending the edge more secure. And the first one I didn't. And even on this one, there's still a little bit of material that you can see. This one is harder to see, but I did add material there. And I think what I did is I made them too thick. In the process of adding that material, it dampened the ability of it to ring. Now, Arthur thinks that the little ball that's on the inside is a little too big as well. Since we get a good rattle, I'm doubting that that's a problem. But when I make the next batch, the ball will be smaller, and I got to make sure that they are thinner in order to get a good ring. And that's where we're at on that. So one theory somewhat proved correct, that the slit here needed to be a certain width in order to get the pitch a little better. That it really did. This has got a little bit of a ring to it, even though, I don't know if you can hear it, even though it's still just rattling. Put those down so I don't drop them. And the other thing was, I don't know if you remember this sweater, it has a really narrow front and a lot of knot work, or I don't know, twist work. Again, I don't really want to think of that as a knot, but chain, what do you call it? Cables. That's the correct word. Found it. Cables. It's got a lot of cable work on it, but I didn't like it. I hated wearing it. So up here on the top, you can see this section here used to go into a big collar down the back. And that collar really irritated the back of my neck because I couldn't wear it with any layering, like this coat and then this collar on this sweater and then the collar on the shirt, and it would just be too much and I'd feel very claustrophobic. I have a lot of swelling in the back of my neck that is always a kind of an irritant, and so putting too much weight back there with too many layers of clothing becomes a real issue. And I didn't want to throw out the sweater. Obviously, you know, you've done this sweater, you put this collar on there because it was part of the pattern and you weren't really thinking about it. I wasn't really thinking about it. Anyway, so I took it off. The collar is now gone, and I didn't want to redo the whole front, so I just tacked these over to the side, and that seems to be working. If I were to do it over again, yeah, I would make a bigger neck opening, I think. But the other thing I have been doing to it is it has this huge opening on the side. And so this is like down at hip level, and then it's open. And you just had this narrow panel down here, and I thought, oh, that'll be fine. It'll be a nice little extra layer of warmth, and it'll be fine. And no, it's not fine. No. So I knit a piece. So this is where it ended before, right here. And I have knit a piece of ribbing, and then some seed stitch flat sections that are triangular to create a regular armhole there. And so yeah, I'm in the process, and I of course keep wearing it between, you know, things. Like I got the collar done, and I wore it for a while and was like, yes, that's right, get rid of that collar. And then I was still going, God, it's cold on the sides. And I got the one side put in, and last night I was wearing it. I wore it all evening. I was going, yeah, I'm warm on one side, I got a cold breeze on the other. But anyway, I'm in the process of fixing that sweater so that I'll wear it. So now I think I haven't done doll stuff because the glue has not arrived for the living room over there, and I mean the Mod Podge, and I think it's been delivered now to the post office, but I mean I don't have it yet, so I'm waiting on that, and I wanted to take you out into the woods, that's the code, to share. I'm looking to see what's next to me. To share what I've actually been working on this week. And it's a bit crazy, and I'll tell you more about it as we walk along outside. But I'm gonna get my boots on and I'll meet you outside. As we step off the porch, the first thing we see here is the apple tree, which desperately needs to be trimmed back. Needs some pruning. And then we're gonna go on down here. And I don't know, let's see if I can get this where you can see. Try and point it here. That tree right there, there used to be 3 standing in that area. 2 of them fell down. And I think we'll have to get to the end of the slope down the hill here so that you can see where it fell. Maybe we'll. Sorry about all the bouncing. There's just no way to cut that out and walk through this gunk. It's wet and very, very muddy right here. Okay, turn back here, and there is the end of the tree, and it's, yeah, going across, falling down here. So this is the skinny end of the tree. The fat end's up there, and yeah, there were 2 of them that came down. So they'll have to be pulled out of the muck water, the seasonal pond, which is on the driveway as well. We have lots of mud, but I made it through that without getting my feet stuck. That tree's always really cool looking. But right there, you can see where it actually broke off of the other tree. The red mark was because the landlord was like, oh, you can cut that down. It's a good thing it's dead, but or will be soon. I think that the direction that one's going to fall is onto the driveway. So we were kind of glad it fell over into the pond. And back in here, you can see the broken wood there, but you can't see the stump. Let's see. Well, that is the stump. That whole broken area right there, it broke off right down at the ground level. And it looks like it fell right next to the other one. I'm trying to see down there, but so that's 2 of them down right here. Lots. These are wild roses that I'm sticking my arm through. That it's a good thing the coat protects me. They're prickly. Eventually, I'm hoping to put a greenhouse right about here, but that is a lot of ferns to take down. I don't know. I don't know if I'm up for it. Sawhorse was out here because a tree limb came off this big leaf maple, and I don't actually know where exactly up there it fell from, but it was a pretty decent sized one and too big to haul as a single piece, and so Joey cut it up down here, and the sawhorse remains. I asked her if she wanted me to cart it back up to the garage, and she was like, no, I probably am going to need it in this area again. Okay, so can you see that kind of yellowy, there we go, school bus back in there, and the tarp and brown building, maybe? That is what we call the cabin. It has no running water, no electricity, other than solar if you bring it yourself, because it's not got its independent solar. That's where the other person used to live. Unfortunately, he didn't see this area right next to our driveway as his, because he could have decided that was his. No toads today. The other day I walked up here and I tried to record it, but couldn't quite get it. There was fog all down this direction, and the toads were singing, and it was so cool. But I think I got fog, and then I got toads singing without the fog because I was pointing the camera at the wrong thing, like doing this, where you're looking at the ground and you can hear the toads. I should combine them so that I could have a proper toad song with the fog. Okay, here's where I like to turn off and go into the woods. The driveway does continue. No, we're not at the end yet. And I have cleaned up some of the sticks that are tripping hazards through here, but not all of them. So if all of a sudden the camera kind of goes wonky, that's because, yeah, I tripped. So here we go. Up and over and around. A lot of time when I'm walking through here, I'll find garbage, wrappers, that sort of thing. And I'm always a little bit afraid when I find one that I'm going to find a stash, you know, like you'll bend over. I think that spot right there might be a case in point. Yep. It's some kind of mashed potato flakes. Well, I don't, yeah, always afraid that there's more. But I used to find these wrappers on my driveway and I was like, where are these coming from? Now I know. So that is a tent full of garbage. Things that he deemed, I don't know, possibly usable at a later date. And this whole area here was covered in bits of garbage. Empty glass bottles. This spot right here had 2 wooden toolboxes. One of them was salvageable, the other one was not. Lots and lots of tin cans and glass bottles. And these crate and this laundry basket were out here, and I was using them to haul stuff. They're still solid enough that I've been able to use them to haul off the garbage. That is going to be challenging. It isn't going to fit in the crates. So I am going to need to get the cart over here in the woods. And there is actually garbage right there. You can see the straw sticking out of the ground there. Well, I already picked up probably 200 straws. And I'm going to have to move that around and see what else is kind of buried there. But, so this whole area had lots of stuff that I've hauled off. And I'll show you the pile over there where I've hauled it to in a minute. But that's wood. And I think we're going to have to make a burnable pile and just burn things like that, because the amount of garbage is just overwhelming. And the tarp is buried, so I gotta get some kind of tools out here to unbury the tarp so that I can get to the tent so I can empty it. And there, this is what the area I just showed you looked like. There are stashes like this all around the cabin. And I'm a little bit afraid to walk back here because some of it's broken glass. And so what I've been doing is going in just kind of gradually picking stuff up. See that crate is probably still usable. That's probably got a hole in the bottom of it. I'm a little bit afraid of ice chests. Okay, I'm a lot afraid of ice chests because he could have left food in them and it will be really stinky. So I kind of don't like opening them. And yeah, you can see it goes quite a bit further that way. I don't know if you can see the crate behind the fern, and I can see something even further over there. So we're gonna go down to the trail that I used to get, that I have cleared to get to where I've been moving all the trash. So my thought here is that the trash is rather thick. I mean, all throughout the woods, right? and it needs to be gathered up. And I'm hoping that the landlord will follow through. And see, there's another tent back here, more garbage behind the school bus that is full of garbage. That the landlord will come through and bring out a container, those ginormous trash containers that right now does not want to come forward. So it gets really grody as you come up this way. But I'm going to turn around here. All along the side of the bus, yes, I have a piece of copper I just picked up. All along the side of the bus there, it was boxes and garbage. And I needed a path that I could walk with the garbage that I was pulling out of the woods. So I'm going to put the copper there, and you can obviously see that is the pile I am making. And it's huge, and it wasn't there before. There was stuff there, but not stacked up. So that's all the stuff that I just pulled out of the woods so far. And the whole place is like that. It's just more and more garbage. And it's starting to rain, so I hope that doesn't affect your ability to see. But, I mean, there's a television over there and another tent. There used to be a tent there. I don't know what happened to it. I'm a little concerned that I'm going to find the remains when I get over there. And there's a lot of stuff that looks burnable right here, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure how to deal with that. So I'm procrastinating on dealing with that. And I'm more concerned with the garbage in the woods behind. And there's even an abandoned car. This tree has been so abused by him. He's tacked all kinds of things to it, leaning stuff on it. I think our landlord is the one who keeps bringing the trash can. Hi! Oh my goodness, do you see that? She's just looking at me, walk towards her like, what are you doing and who are you talking to? This area used to have a bunch of homemade shelves using pallets. I mean, like 4 units that were pallet wide, squared, and taller than I am by quite a bit, and covered in garbage. So some of that got hauled off, but not much of it. I'm looking on the ground here and I'm seeing glasses and other things. I don't know what the plastic shelving unit, I think it was just between the others. This direction is the driveway that you come up. So we actually have 2 driveways onto the property. So this is the end of the driveway that comes to the cabin. And I do know that the car was his, but I don't know what do you do to get hauled off a car that belongs to someone who's not around anymore. Did she go very far? Well, it looks like the doe took a fast route into the woods. So there's crazy people talking over here. But you can see that tree going across the pathway, and then maybe the tree beyond it. Let's see, let's do a zoom. So there's 2 more trees down that need to be cut up. And there's garbage down there too. And there is another bus. I don't know if I can see it from here. I'd have to duck underneath this tree in order to get to it, to walk to it. I don't know, let's try it. I'm gonna turn off the recording and start it again after I've ducked. I wanted to give you an idea of how big this tree is. Yeah, it's substantial to a lot of what's going on. I mean, the trees don't get around here. You've got the great big maples, like the one in the distance over there. And then you've got a lot of these. And yeah, it's not something I pick up and move. It's got to be cut up. These are all significantly smaller. Oh, and it damaged one in the process of falling. Okay, so I had to crawl on my hands and knees to get under that. I'm stepping over a little one that's down. And fortunately, I can walk around this other one. Again, you know, piles of garbage. I'm sad for the tent. It's an old military tent. And it's probably absolutely ruined. And there is, you know, bags. I don't know what's in there. Kind of terrified by it. Part of a crate, a pallet, I think. Those used to be decks that they would do parties. They would come out here with their batteries and set up their hi-fi and party out here really loud. That was the owner doing that. That's his thing. Okay, so we're approaching the back end of this bus that the owner claims belonged to the Karamazov brothers. I have my doubts. But, you know, maybe that is true, and, you know, they drove it up here and left it. If there are Karamazov brothers still alive and you know them, ask them. I would love to know the truth. Did they really leave it here? And, ooh, could they come get it? Because, yeah, that one's going to be a heck of a job to clean up. And they're not responsible for all the garbage on the inside, but at all. But there's more garbage. There's an old grill. And there's, I know for a fact, somewhere in that area, right there, bags of cans. The bag is deteriorated. Here's another giant ice chest that I did make the mistake of opening and grossed out. I think it was full of meat. And now we're headed back over to where my house is. And I like taking videos of this spot here because we have this little pond that can be so picturesque. Last winter it had snow and it was just really cool. Now it's got rain. And it's really muddy, and hopefully I don't step in and get stuck. I'm looking at the ground, not at what you're seeing, so that I can miss most of the mud. So, yeah, that's what I had to just walk around. And it's a little treacherous. Okay, so from this side, ooh, I didn't see that happen. The chicken coop fell down. Okay, from the house I can't see the chicken coop, and I'm gonna admit it, I don't come out here and look around. Except that, you know, I went down the driveway and took care of trash, and I'm not a very good land steward. Don't hire me. But yeah, the chicken coop fell down in that windstorm. It was in bad shape, but ooh, it's down now. Well, see, another mess to clean up. Okay, so we have a school bus as well over here. And it's been used for tools and stuff. And I think there are some piles of garbage over here as well, other than just the disgusting mess of the chicken coop. There's more garbage, and that is a piece of junk in my opinion, but the landlord wanted it kept. Backside of our garage, there seems to be something oozing out. It's a tarp. Okay, I'm gonna go around this side because I know it's fairly passable. Because I was over here yesterday. I was burning pallet wood to use for those shelves that I said I needed so long ago, and I'm still stepping around all the stuff. Yeah. So I finally got gas. So there's my propane tank. There's my boards that still need to be burned, and the pile over there, those have all been burned. So I'm making progress. I'm over halfway, but the rain and the windstorms really slow you down because I can't use the propane inside. I have to come and set up outside. And I don't show this very often because it is embarrassing in my opinion. And this, which should have been hauled off, but the guy who was hired to haul it off took the title to it, but not the car, because he needed a different tow truck and he never came back and got it. So here it sits and we don't know how to get rid of it, and the landlord's not motivated, and that's ours. And this poor shed here that we put up was for the tractor, which isn't in it. The tractor broke down and is at the other end of the driveway. The truck is Arthur's project, but we put a bunch of garbage in the back of it that we hauled from various different places. And we're back at the house. So we're back inside. I hope that romp through the woods wasn't too shaky and nauseating. Part of what I am sharing about the overwhelm there is that I can't work on that in the summertime or much past the beginning of spring because I'm massively allergic to ferns and mold. And believe it or not, all that stuff that is just part of the forest where you've got leaf mold where it's mulching naturally, which is great for the trees and for that environment, makes me ill. It's kind of a drawback to being here, but I am so sensitive to fragrance and it just ruins my day so badly that being out on acreage is the only solution that I've come up with. I would rather be in the city. But, you know, for convenience, not having to have a car, you know, lots of reasons. But I'm out here because I can't handle the fragrance that is in people's laundry detergent. And it affects me out here because my neighbors do laundry and their laundry has fragrance in it. And you may have noticed I'm missing an earring. It fell out while I was outside. I just... Side distraction there. Anyway, that's just part of the complications of living here and just living my life, is that when there's that windstorm that takes down those trees, it also stirs up the leaf mold and anything that the neighbors have in the way of fragrance or formaldehyde or the chemicals that the logging companies use. It stirs it all up and it brings it in. And then there's also the black mold that is present in this house that has yet to be remediated. We're like protected from it at this point in time, but if the wind blows really hard, it brings it in. And you may have seen the signage that leans up against the house. That's actually from the days when we had the video store and we had a drink station inside. And I painted those, and they're broken now because the wind took them over. And I ridiculously used them to keep the rainwater from splashing onto the bottom of that wall, which has already been, underlayment has been done, but not the siding. And so we don't have the protection in place to protect that underlayment of plywood. And I just threw the signs up there as just kind of a sacrificial thing. It's one of the inexpensive, ridiculous things that I did to try and slow down any problems. And that's when you're broke all the time, that's kind of where you're at on it, is that you're slowing down the rot that happens because of nature. Nature is doing its thing out here, and it's trying to take this house down and that cabin out there. Oh, it's doing a real good job of it too, I'll tell you. The chicken coop being down, I mean, it's not one we used. It's from so many years ago. Nothing that it was in bad shape when we moved here. And we looked at it and said, I don't think there's any way we can salvage it. I think it's too far gone. But since we don't own the land, we didn't think that, we should take it down. We'd leave that to the landlord to do. And we've kind of taken that attitude all along, is that we'll just leave that to the landlord. We talked to him about buying the place, and he's open to it, but he promised my ex-husband that he had first dibs. So he won't sell it to my ex-husband as long as I'm living here. But until I can get my ex-husband to say, oh, no, I'm not interested in it anymore, we're at an impasse. So we can't buy the place. But cleaning up is part of paying for keeping somebody off of that little corner, because the way the winds work around here, they're really too close, and anything that happens in that part of the property blows right into the house here. So I don't want anyone living there that close. It's bad enough with the other neighbors, and it keeps me inside almost all summer. I would like to be outside in the sunshine. I'd really like to be outside enjoying the sunshine. So those few times when you see pictures of me outside, those are rare. And I'm inside most of the time because of the air and the fires. We still have a couple of fires, although this latest storm may have put those fires out. Anyway, the weather here is not conducive to my health. It just is what it is. But that is kind of been where I've had to be. I did take a break from doing clay just so I could run off into the woods and clean. And so there's that. I got to change a pace, but I'm going to have to go back to doing clay and continue to clean. That's going to be interesting. And I hope that everything for you in your life is going smoothly. I hope that it is that you are experiencing blessings. I know that this last week was horrendous politically, and I know that for me, I was ill as well. One of those windstorms got me. And so I'm hoping that you're doing better than I am. To be honest, I really hope you're doing better than I am. And that the politics recognize that as bad as it looks from how horrible the stuff he just did, and it is horrible, that the courts are working with the truth, and they are coming back, and they are implementing the law. And they have forced him to remove the troops from Chicago and LA. And from what I hear, they aren't there. So if you know differently, if the troops are still there, tell me. I would love to know whether or not there's been compliance. And I think they might still be in Washington, D.C., because that's not a state, and it's harder to get that control there. But every place else, I think they've been removed. So yeah, give me an update if you know differently. And stay safe, and find some place to find some joy. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.